everybody, this is Bailey with Wire Weaved Uniques, and it's been a little bit since I've posted a video, and I wanted to show you guys a different type of weave around this Kammererite jasper. It's a jasper from Turkey. It's pretty rare, but it's very beautiful. The greens and the purples just are amazing together. And it is said Kammererite. It is spelled how it sounds. It's very interesting, but it's really awesome. So we're gonna get started with that. I appreciate everybody subscribing to my channel. I very much appreciate you guys. I hope you have been enjoying. And I also appreciate everybody's feedback. It really means a lot to me. So for this pendant, you will need just your basic tools. These are just flathead pliers. These are wubbers. And then I've got my nylon. And then my cutters and round nose. So we're going to do this pendant using tarnish resistant copper wire. So what I'm going to do is cut my base wires. And what you want is 20 gauge and 28 gauge for the weaving. I love Parawire. I think it's really good quality craft wire, and I like it more than beetle one, I would say. So for this, we're gonna cut, let's see, my stone is about, let me measure it, 2 inches tall. So basically, I'm going to cut 2 pieces of wire laying at 12 inches so that I have extra. Because you always want more than you think you need. It's never fun to run out of wire during a project. So basically, you want 2 foot long pieces of 20 gauge wire. And what I did was I went triple the length of my stone to make sure I have enough. All right, so we're done with the 20 gauge. And then we want to straighten our wire. So I would say this is more of it's a basic weave to learn. This is in between beginner friendly and intermediate because honestly, I'm not sure where this pendant is gonna go. I just know what weave I will be showing you guys. So I've got my 2 base wires. Oh yeah, that'll be good. So then you want your 28 gauge wire. I usually just work off of the spool because I free flow a lot and I don't know when or where I'm going to add more wire, and I don't like having to add to a weave if I run out of wire in the middle of a weave. So I would like to work off the spool. I drop the whole thing to my right side because I'm right-handed, and it just keeps it out of the way. So the start of this weave, you're going to figure out what your top of your stone is. So this is going to be my top. and you want to leave enough down here for a bail. So I'm going to start right about here. I would say that's about 5 inches inward from your end. So then I'm going to take my 28 gauge and I'm putting it in between the 2 base wires from the back side, like so. And then I'm gonna hold down this tail end. Words are hard sometimes. And I'm just gonna, well, let me get that back there. I'm going to coil around the bottom base wire a couple of times to anchor in the start of our weave. So typically, you know, between 5 and 10 is fine. I'm not counting, just as long as you have 5 and 10. Between 5 and 10, you're good. So the pattern of this weave is going to be 2 around both and 5 around the bottom base wire. So we're doing 2 coils around both wires, and then we're going to go to the bottom base wire, which is our 20 gauge, and we're going to do 5. Here it does matter that you count because you will be able to see if it is off in your weave. So I just did 4, and this one's 5. So then we're going to go to 2. Around both, and then back down to our 5 around the bottom base wire. It's 4. This is 5. Now, with the space in between your base wires, you don't want it so tight that you have to force your 28 gauge in between the two. Otherwise, you could break it. You want to make sure you have enough room to get your 28 gauge in there. So I just did my 2 around both. And then I'm going to do my 5 around the bottom. 4, 5. So with this is my back. I'm going to put a bend right here so that the cab has some surface area to sit on. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch to my top wire. Just like that, you're just laying on the top wire. That way we can make a small bend for the back side of the cab. And I'm going to use my flat nose pliers to do that. And I make mine about 1/4 inch tall typically. It really depends on the stone you're using. So I've got my bend. And if I were to lay my stone up to it, my bend's going to go right around that edge and it's going to sit just like that, which I think looks really good. The bigger you make your bend, the more across the back side it's going to go, which that's all up to you. So then I'm going to straighten this wire back out like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to coil around our top wire till we get to that second bend that we made. So we're just coiling around the top wire. till we get to that second corner. And then what we do is we go back to our pattern of 2 around both and 5 around the bottom weave. Oop, missed again. There we go. Now, it depends on the number of bends on your stone. Again, like the size of it, the length of it. For a majority of oval or round stones, I typically go for 3. This one, I am going to do 4 bends because this stone is very elongated. So we've made it up to our second corner. So what I'm going to do now is go back to going around both wires. You want to do it twice and then 5 around the bottom wire. 4, 5. Then we're going to go around both. And then around the bottom. 4, 5. And then around both 2 times. And around the bottom one. 4, 5. We just keep going for a little bit. Right now this is going to lay down the side, the length of our stone. Two, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So let's see where we are at. I'm looking at the back. So I want my next bend to be roughly where my thumb is, down here. So that's what I'm going for. Four, 5. Around both. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Round both. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's look. Let's see where we're at. I think I'm good. I'm going to do one more little set of 2 and 5. 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so then at this point, we're going to take our 28 gauge and put it around the top wire. Should have left that straight. Leave that one straight. We're going to bend this one out and make our second bend. Now, if your stone is pretty symmetrical, you can make all of your bends like the same height. So what I did was I bent it down. And then I'm bending it back down to get that triangle shape. And then I'm going to bend this back out to where it's parallel again with the other base wire. Just like that. So now we have two bends that will sit on the back of our stone. So then now we just coil around that single piece up to that corner. Just like so. All right. And we're back. We're at that corner. So we're going to come under and then over and do our 2. And then go back to that 2 around both and 5 around the bottom pattern. Four, 5. Oops. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, what I like to do when my cabs are elongated like this, I like to make a longer bend at the bottom. So, I'm going to do like one more set. This is totally up to you. I think by now you get the gist of the pattern. It's pretty simple. The biggest thing is making sure that your coils are just tight and next to and against each other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's see. Okay, so I'm going to go back around the top and I'm bending this out. This one, I like to make it a little bit longer than the other two. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to make it the same. Try my best to anyways. Then I'm going to bend it back out. And then we're going to coil this wire. Then we just keep going. Keep coiling till we get to that second corner there. Ooh, we've got some thunder rolling. I love the sound of thunder. Okay, then we go back to our normal 2 around both. 5 around the bottom. Get this lined up nicely. 3, that's 4. No, that's 4. This is 5. Okay. So now what you can do, if your stone is symmetrical, you can count the sets of 2. So there are 3 sets of 2 going around both base wires between those 2 bends. So that's what I'm going to do on this side of the bend. I have 1 already. It's 2. And this is my 3rd set. So I'm going to do those 5 coils. And then I'm going to bring my 28 gauge around up the backside over the top base wire and make that next bend. And I'm going to make it the same height as the one before my center bend, roughly. Then we're going to bend it back outward. And then coil the top. Till we get to that second corner. Do one more. There we go. And then we're going to continue our pattern. So then here, you can count how many sets of 2 to gauge out how many you need to do here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I'm going to do 10 sets of 2 on this side of the frame so that it matches the other side. And it's very helpful to do that when your stone is symmetrical, if you wanted to go for symmetry. So now I have 2. This is 3. Once you have the pattern down, you'll be just fine. And you guys could always change up the pattern. Two. Okay. Keep going. 4, 5. So you could do like a set of 3 around both or 10 on the bottom wires. That'd be like a 3, 10 pattern. However you want to do it. 5. 2 around both. 5 around the bottom. 2 around both. 5 around the bottom. So let's see how many sets of 2 I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm on my last set of 2. So there's that, and then the 5 on the bottom, and then I make my last prong or bend, whatever you want to call it. So I'm getting my 28 gauge back around on the top wire so I can bend this outward. And make my little bend here. That one's literally little, but that is okay. Move that out, and then we're gonna coil the top wire. Coiling till we get to that second corner. And then we're gonna match what we did in the beginning. So I have 3 sets of 2. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm doing my first set of 2 right now. And I'm gonna do my 5 around the bottom. My second set of 2, and then my 5. And the last set of 2, and then 5. And then we're gonna see where this lays. So what I usually do before I go to get the frame around my stone is I'll cut this tail end we've been holding since the beginning. We're gonna flush cut that off, and then you can squish it down to make sure, oops, there's no pokey or anything. Then we're gonna take these bends and you're gonna bend all of them. So you want the frame to sit at like a 90-degree angle. And if you've seen my other videos, you know what I'm talking about. So this is roughly a 90-degree angle that I'm talking about. And you take your cab and you put the bottom center of your cab on your very most center bend. And you just take both sides. Actually, hold that. Hang on. What you should do is take your nylon pliers, if you have them, and just kind of go through and squish your weave with your nylon pliers. And then get your cab. You can get your frame around your cab like this. Now, sometimes you might need to add more weaving. Basically, you want both sides of the weave to meet up with each other here at the top. Then just kind of play around with your frame and get it to sit where you want it to sit. These are our bends, so now you can see the purpose of them. So now what I'm going to do is I'm grabbing one of the wires on the front side And I'm getting the base wires to line up at the top, and they're all together, and I'm using one of the base wires to wrap around all of these simultaneously. And it kind of just binds the wire together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip off my 28 gauge as flush cut as I can. And I'm going to keep binding this around. Typically I'll do it 3 times depending. Then now you can kind of play around with your frame again, you know, make sure everything's snug. Now the next part, we're going to take the round nose. Be careful doing this. Do it gently. These single coil pieces that we made where we did these bends, you're going to kind of twist them to where they kind of hug the stone a little bit better. This one, I'm just going to bring over and get it like that. Do the same to this last one. So I did this to all the, that's why you want to be careful, to all the coiled single pieces where we did the bends. So that's 5 pieces there. Then you just want to make sure they are flush. And I'm going to take my nylon pliers. See, my stone is pretty dang thin. So if you guys go back to the beginning of the video, well, the thicker your stone for this design, the more base wires you want to have. Let me put it that way. And I'm going to add that at the beginning of the video. I don't want this whole thing to go to waste, but to be on the safe side, the thicker your stone, the more base wires you want to have for this type of weave pattern. And you would just do it in the same way, and you can always switch it up. So now I'm going to take 2 of these wires and just make a simple bail. I'm going to grab my looping pliers. My 6-step looper. And I'm going to use this one. And I'm just conforming the bail around. I'm going to hold it and bring this around the neck like that. So then your bail is secured. And then really now it's just a matter of playing and a matter of figuring out where you want to put all of these wires. Bring that out of the way so I can get this around like this. And this little piece, I love to do my loops for finishing touches because it just kind of, it's a pretty way of tying off any pokey ends that you might have. If you've seen my other videos, you know I like making my loops. So this one, these two, I don't know, I'm going to do a twisted design. So these two I'm going to twist together. Like this, which this can be very tricky sometimes. That's probably good. So then I'm just going to cut right about here. And I'm going to make a loop with this twisted design. And in some cases, doing a twisted design loop, to me it looks like a rose sometimes, depending. This one will make a small loop that sits right in there. Or right up here per se. Okay. Kind of straighten this out. Get everything nice and flush. I'm pushing on the stone to make sure it's not going to fall out or nothing. I do feel a need to bring these bends more over the surface of this the best I can. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to bend them flush right on the surface. There we go. Oh, grab the right pliers. Oh yeah, that's not going anywhere. All right. So here we have a beautiful copper Kammererite pendant. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I appreciate you very much for subscribing to my channel. I am going to be uploading more. Just slowly kind of figuring out what. I want everything to make as much sense as possible to you guys, to the best of my abilities. So, thank you again. Here she is, beautiful Kammererite pendant. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, whatever time it is where you are, whenever you watch this. Thank you so very much. See you soon.